Good morning to one and all. Warm welcome to all the delegates offline and online. Here we are together today for the Data Privacy Day, a moment of pride, privilege, and honor, definitely. I'm Dr. Anuja, Associate Professor from Manipal Law School, and I'll be the MC for this event. It's always very good to see and have the experience of an industry-academia interface program, and that too with the giant collaborators like CSA, Bangalore Chapter, FDPPI, the Knowledge Partner Manipal Law School, NXP, and BSPIN. We need to understand and celebrate the essence of the day. We are respecting privacy, promoting data, and building trust. With these words, may I call upon our esteemed guests, Dr. Avinash, Mr. Nagendra, Mr. Shankar, Ms. Satyavati, and Mr. Manish Kumar to enlighten us and taking us through the illuminated world of Data Privacy Day. I welcome you all for the lighting of the lamp ceremony. Please, sir. The light illuminates the mind and the world. So be it so for the day. Thank you so much for the guests who came out and reached out to us for lighting this lamp. So now it's the time for welcome speech by Mr. Nagendra Javgal. Please, sir, we are highly delighted from you to have the tone set.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you here on this Saturday. We know that it's a long weekend, though you have made it. Thank you very much for this. I wish to welcome all of you to this Privacy Day. It's going to be a 2-day program. One is happening here right now, and second is happening at tomorrow, Manyata Tech Park in NXP campus. This event being hosted along with our partners, Cloud Security Alliance Bangalore, Manipal Law School, Bangalore, NXP Semiconductors, and BSPIN Bangalore. They are very well cooperating to host this event. I welcome all of the representatives of this organization. Nice to see you here. Many of you are from different industry representatives, technologists, law professionals, and also some of the business professionals here. I wish to welcome all of you here. You must have seen our theme that all about navigating the trade of privacy, technology, and compliance. In order to deliberate, in order to understand different aspects of these three, we have eminent speakers lined up here who are going to share their knowledge, their views, their perspective, at the same time, possible solutions and practices. So with this, welcoming you once again to this event, thanking you all. I'm sure you will enjoy this 2-day event. Thank you very much.
Satyavati to present the memento to Mr. Nagendra. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the lead and setting the tone. Please, sir. Let me request Ms. Soumya Vedharth to come up onto the stage for the inaugural talk. And the topic is Dealing with Triad of Data Privacy, Technology, and Compliance. Please, Ms. Soumya.
Okay. Yeah, I hope you had a wonderful Republic Day yesterday. We are living in like stirring times. One of the stirring ripples, of course, is our new Data Protection Act that we have in India, which I think will carry us quite forward. I do have some slides. I'm not sure if you're going to. Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, I'm here to like kind of whet your appetite and then keep you interested in what we're going to discuss for the rest of the day. Mainly to give a primer about like how we see the whole triad of privacy, compliance, and technology coming together, right? That to drive your business, to protect privacy, and definitely to act as a business enabler also, and not just as a compliance requirement. So, I'm sorry, if you can move to the next slide. Thank you. Yeah, so when we talk about privacy, we see like there are a lot of business drivers and enterprise drivers that take place, right? Some of them that we are is like when we see how privacy has evolved from, say, like, you know, the European Data Protection Directive to GDPR, from the OECD guidelines, where we are seeing a lot of like work going on, is definitely to do with how we've changed the way we do business, how we change the way what is the data that we collect, how we change the way we interact with our customers, with our employees, with our larger stakeholders. Because even if we say, like, maybe see like a 30 years ago, the number of enterprises that an organization dealt with earlier is probably far lesser, like exponentially fewer than what it is right now. So we have a larger footprint of data. We have a larger footprint of data that spreads across. So we see that there are a lot of these lot of drivers that are happening about the way we do business. And the main driver, of course, is like from a regulation and compliance perspective. There are, I think, in the past couple of years itself, like tens of countries have come up with the new regulations. So we are about 100 plus, I think, right now. The number keeps changing, so I have just stopped counting on that. But about 100 plus regulations, omnibus regulations that are there across the world. And definitely, when we talk about regulation, we see that there is a bit of a stick and a carrot approach, with the stick probably being emphasized. So all in all, when we look at privacy, there are multiple aspects. One is like how we do business, and then how we make sure that like we have a brand reputation, we have our assets also that are being protected, so that we retain our advantage that we have in the market, and how we have compliance driving the underlying efforts towards privacy. If you could move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So the main approach that we see from any framework that we do for data protection, and here I want to split a bit between data protection, is mainly because this has to work hand in hand with your privacy, right? We cannot have a data protection program for the rest of the data, such as your financial information or like your IP information, and have a separate one for privacy, wherein you will have a lot of overhead that will come up when you deal with data. So when we look at it from a data protection angle, and definitely from a privacy angle also, we see that for any framework to succeed, it needs to have at least these four aspects to it, where we have the strategy, and the strategy is going to be driven by your business needs, by your vision where you're going, and definitely by compliance also, especially because there is a large impact to your bottom line from your compliance requirements, which in turn leads the governance, wherein when we talk about governance, we see that compliance is where it comes into its own over here, where it plays a large role in making sure that there is oversight of what the strategy and the requirements are, and an oversight of the way we can demonstrate accountability. And then, of course, comes the processes, which will be driven again by our governance methodology. And the underlying bit of it is technology, which plays a key role when we talk about data, because we see that there is a move of data from the physical aspect to the electronic or the digitized aspect. So technology starts to play a very important and a crucial role over here. If we could move to the next slide, please. So this is how we see data moving through, and the technology and the compliance being driven from that entire life cycle, all the way from collection till the disposal, right? We see that there is, like, when we start to look at it, when we start to look at compliance, it has to start where we are looking at the data collection and the discovery aspect of it, where we see that what is the data that is being collected, and is this going to be private data or potentially private data. And this is also the best place for us to determine what are the compliance requirements. Since when we're talking about privacy, and there are varying compliance requirements that may stay over each other, right? Of course, like, the most I guess, like, easiest example to give would be HIPAA, or from a PHI perspective, where we see that, like, we have like omnibus laws which impact like the privacy. We have like requirements and standards and regulations such as the PCI, which regulates the financial information collected for services rendered. And we have regulations such as the HIPAA, which will consider what is the patient health information that we will be looking at. So in your collection stage is where you will be able to best determine what are your compliance requirements, and that has to be carried forward throughout the life cycle, right? Where we talk about like classifying the data, and then looking at all our components around data protection. So when we are talking about the technology, we see that data protection comes on its own, and a lot of it will be dependent on what are like your technological and your procedural aspect. Underlying the whole thing is your governance, risk, and compliance, which has to determine what is the kind of monitoring you have, what is the kind of logging that you have, what is the kind of reporting, and at different levels, right, where we have all the different stages starting from the board to your business lines, which will have to monitor what will be the governance, risk, and compliance. And technology plays a role here also when we see that there are multiple GRC tools which will help you to monitor where you are the weakest or the strongest and the best in class for your compliance requirements. Can we move to the next slide, please? So to wrap it up and then hand it over to the people who are going to delve a lot more into the life cycle and the different types of technologies that are available. The case for technology over here to drive your compliance are definitely these. The very first is to manage your data protection and security, where while we can do that without specialized technologies, technology will help you to secure it better and also to manage your security a lot better, both of which are very critical when we talk about how we will demonstrate accountability. The next one, of course, is like automation and efficiency. When we take, say, an example of a security tool such as an IDAM or like a privileged access management, right? When we look at the scale of people who are accessing data, and automation of it, tooling of that IDAM solution will definitely lead to a greater efficiency and a greater effectiveness also about your controls. Demonstrating accountability, like I said, is something that we see as a bedrock from a compliance, right? Like, it is not just important that you are compliant, it is also important that you are able to demonstrate that you are compliant, both of which becomes very keen when we talk about the role that regulators play. And tools will help you to demonstrate the accountability, whether we are leveraging tools such as our GRC, or whether we are using more advanced like SIEM tools or monitoring tools that are in place. And definitely to control, manage, and monitor across enterprises. And here I want to emphasize that we will have to manage across enterprises, right? Say tools such as your information risk management, information rights management. These are critical tools, especially when you are transferring data outside of your enterprise. And transferring data outside of your enterprise, we know, is like almost like a mandate at this point in the way we do business, right? So when we want to manage it across enterprises, we need technology, we need some sort of an IRM solution or some sort of like a monitoring and logging solution that technology would enhance. And definitely the last and requirement from a technology perspective is to manage the scale, especially when we are ramping up and we see how data is expounding, the way our business growth is and the way our vision is. And all our businesses have a vision of growth, right? To manage that scale, we see that technology plays a very important role from a compliance and a privacy perspective. So this is something that I just wanted to have in front of you guys. So I know that I have a lot of speakers who are going to follow me, who will go a lot into that. And I'm also very keen to listen to it and learn from everybody. And I hope we have a great day. So thank you all for the fun.
To have in this specific triad of compliance mechanisms. Now the platform is open for question and answer session. Please, anybody who have your queries with you, any concerns or any thought process to be shared with, please do come. We will also happy to answer some questions from the online delegates. Please feel free to.
I'm taking it that I was super clear is what I wanted to say.
They need a coffee.
Ah, okay.
Anybody online? Yeah, please, sir.
Thank you, Soumya, for the wonderful talk. Rohit here. I'm totally new to this data privacy world. But as you mentioned, there are more than 100 data privacy rules across the globe. So my question is, how, let's say, currently data is being transferred from India to, let's say, Singapore. So which rules apply throughout cross-border transfer and who regulates that? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rohit. And I believe we will address this, but let me take a stab at it. So definitely, sorry.
Please.
Yeah. So definitely, what we usually do when we look at data transferring across, right? And it need not really be transferred across. It may just be collated from different sites and then started to process also. So we have to look at from a collection perspective, what is the data that is coming in? Where is it coming from, and how you're going to be processing it, right? Given all these three is where we will start to narrow down our compliance requirements. Now, what do I mean by that? Let us say, what is the type of data, whether it is, personal data, sensitive personal data, or it is financial information, or is it health information, is it even IP information, all of those we would require to narrow down and say what are all the aspects. Some of the laws will not be really clear, called out and say that this is a privacy law. For example, RBI requirements, right? They are more aligned towards security, but they have a privacy component. So you need to know what is the data that is coming in. Then you understand where is the data coming from and who are the data subjects or the data principals, as we call them here in India, who are the owners of this data. That will also help you to decide what may be your overlapping requirements that will come in from a privacy angle. For example, if it is employee data from any of the European Union, the easy call is, of course, definitely GDPR. But then there are a lot of employment laws also which which talk about monitoring that you will have to identify. And then, of course, like when I said, like, how are we going to use this data, right? For example, right now, I think we are seeing a lot of action that is happening. If we are going to use it in any way, shape, or form from an AI perspective or for analytics, then we will also have to see if there are other laws. Mainly, this would be, like legal will drive a large part of this because they are the ones who have the expertise. While if you are outside of the legal arena, your expertise would probably be in understanding the data and the reason why we are processing. So you'd have to work with the legal team to understand. And then once you know all of it is, of course, a matter of harmonization, because at the end of the day, your data like your privacy principles remain the same. The requirements that stem from all these principles are probably going to differ once you have narrowed down the regulations and the standards, and also your own organizational policies and procedures that are required, right? Then you would harmonize it and see how you would work on it. That's a very easy way to say it and a very hard thing to do. So we are also grappling with it, Rohit, and we will also grapple along with you. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, good morning all. Murli here from Mindtree. My question is, when we are talking about data privacy, we talk about data privacy ranged across various domains. By various domains, I mean banking, or it could be insurance, BFSI, or it could be retail, or it could be identity management platform. So how is it that data privacy needs different treatment for different domains? And currently, how is the scenario with respect to domain-based collaboration? By domain-based collaboration, I mean, how is it for banking services vis-a-vis, let's say, how is it for travel or hospitality portals? Or how is the data privacy policies aligned to or defined for these various domain-based platforms?
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Murli, for the question. So if we look at it from an India perspective, the strongest is definitely from a BFSI perspective, because even before the DPDPA was enacted, we see that like RBI has done fantastic work. In fact, I think like it is probably amongst across the domains in India, they are the ones who have been forward thinkers about like how they're going to secure data. And along with the security, of course, they have looked into privacy. While I think like the security aspect is very good from RBI, they have also included a privacy which other domains have not. And of course, there are other domain requirements from BFSI such as IRDA, which also closely mimics, while maybe that may be an overgeneralization, it does closely follow like the RBI requirements also. So, so definitely in this aspect, we see that maybe like, banking stands head and shoulders apart from other domains. The one other that I can think of is telecom, where we see that there are some regulations and requirements that stem. All of the others are largely driven by their own, right? Like when we see about like say, if we take like healthcare, for example, most of it is coming from pre-existing from a Medical Council of India and all, which mostly talks about patient confidentiality, which while it cannot be like, tagged as privacy, it kind of like works hand in hand. But otherwise, across the domains, we don't have anything that would stand up. Sorry, you have? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
are in place. So they actually are taking a transformation. So I think it's pretty important for a person who drives the policy for any organization. So kind of cross-domain and across the domain kind of outlook before these policies are defined. So in that, from that perspective, I would also like to know what is the action plan, or what is the path ahead for the data privacy frameworks that are being defined.
Okay. Okay, so I guess for those online who may not have got the first part of his questions, what Murli asked was that there is data that crosses across domain. For example, if we look at like buying a flight ticket, I may go to a technology provider's platform who will then transfer it to maybe like the airlines, and then they'll transfer it to the banks for payment processing, and they may also transfer it to some other loyalty program, right? So I think his question was, how do we take care of that aspect? So definitely, if we like look at it from a DPDPA perspective, it is going to be largely driven by the fiduciary in this aspect, right? Because when we look at DPDPA, there is not a lot of onus of responsibility that is going to the processor. Most of the responsibility lies on the data fiduciary. So what are you doing as a fiduciary? What is the data you are collecting? And what are the purposes for which you are collecting will definitely define how you will be handling it, right? And it starts from, like, say, from the notice perspective. Even if it is not based on consent, you would still have to figure out where are you transferring the data. And then one aspect is from a data minimization, that you're going to send it out only the data that is required. The other aspect is definitely from like how you're going to put in controls where you don't have ability to control, right? Like once I transfer my data to my bank, it's not like I can go and see what the bank is doing with my data. So what are all the other contractual legal tools that I will have to be able to enforce it is something that I'll have to see at an enterprise level. And definitely that should be fed in from your collection points. So I would say that while this is a very complex scenario, to simplify it further, it would definitely be driven by the data fiduciary rather than the data processors who will later on have access to the data.
I think that process should be subjected to not only the IT security audit, but also the financial audit, because
definitely.
Yeah.
And not just IT security, financial, it will also have to be operational.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about privacy, we talk about almost all parts of your business, right?
Correct.
To touch into it. So it is not really a domain of IT security. What we just wanted to emphasize over here is that technology will play a role in helping your business.
Yeah, and how technology evolves over a period of time, especially
Correct.
when we have the Gen AI and the others thrown in.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Murli.
Thank you so much, Ms. Soumya. Hello. And may I request Professor Dr. Avinash Dadish to present a memento to our honored speaker. Please, sir. Idea is coming up, and there is a quiz that will be conducted as of now with one question. May I request Ms. Satyavati to carry forward that?
Hi. And entirely up to, you will be able to pick the first person who raises the hand, no? Yeah, you will be able to do. She will do that. I am taking that out of me. Otherwise, people will say, Satya gave this. Okay, first question. Yes?
Encryption and data storage. It's not a.
Is that the right answer?
And it's D. Firewall configuration network
B.
security.
D, consent and transparency.
It's B. It's B. It's D. Okay.
B.
It's B. Who all said B? Both. Okay. Who all said B? Can you stand? No, only those two. Right? He and please stand up, sir. You said B. Okay. Not okay. Thank you. So we'll keep going on with the quiz for each of the session. So just listen, absorb, ask questions, make it as interactive as possible. We are here not only during the session after, but make sure that you are asking questions. There are gifts which you can carry home. Over to you, ma'am.
Yes,
one question is enough. Please go on.
Yeah, yes. Thank you so much for the participation. Now we have keynote address by Professor Dr. Avinash Dadij, and he'll be coming up with the discourse on global trends in AI regulation. And as we all know, effective deliberation is always about learning, unlearning, and relearning. Please, sir.
Nauza, it's your phone. So, good morning. It's good to see a lot of kids here. They are keen to win a prize. At the end of the day, we are all kids, you know. In the deep of our heart, we want to win. And what we are winning today as an academic institution, we are learning how to collaborate with industry. I think this is the first initiative by any Indian law school where the other 4 partners are coming from industry. We are talking about the issues which are directly relating to industry. So thank you very much, CSA Bengaluru chapter, BISPIN, NXP, and FDPPI. Today's topic given to me is about globalization of AI regulation. My research is about artificial intelligence, law and regulation. I do my teaching research in this area. So when I say globalization of any law, because after 1945, especially after the Second World War, we started talking about globalization of rules, regulations, and policies. And still we believe that there are few areas where things should be and must be regulated at the global level, especially issues which are global, like environment. It should be regulated by global community, nuclear, energy. And there are some other areas where we believe that it's not national issues, it's international issues. And AI definitely is one of them. But now the bigger issue is that the philosophy which we started in 1945 after the Second World War, when we realized that the word peace and security can be only achieved when we work together as a team through the United Nations. Then we created some good institutions within the United Nations like the WTO, WIPO, UNESCO, OECD, and many more. And we believed in those things. And arguably, UN worked very well in last 70, 80 years. At least in environmental law, we can say, and terrorism, or in so many other issues, now we have global understanding, global conventions, global treaties. So we do expect the same thing in AI. So last few years, OECD and UNESCO, because it's only 15 minutes, so I won't go in a very detail, but UNESCO and OECD tried to take some initiatives at the United Nations level, and they came up with some guidelines and recommendations on ethics of AI. And more than 190 countries, they are the part of this recommendation part. But I think because I know I'm addressing non-lawyers, so I need to be a little bit restricted myself. So these laws are not binding in nature. They are not convention, they are not treaties, they are just like good words, okay, we should not do this, do that. However, we don't have any global law which covers or which regulates artificial intelligence right now. United Nations tries to control very important part of AI, that's a lethal autonomous weapon. As you all know that in Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, and all types of war, now countries are using lethal autonomous weapon. And there was a serious debate at the United Nations that we cannot give power to machines to decide that who will survive and who will not be survived. Okay, we cannot give that power. So debate started, and there was a good understanding that yes, we need to regulate it. But however, the few countries like the USA, China, Israel, Russia, they were not very much in favor of banning lethal autonomous weapon. So that didn't happen. And lethal autonomous weapon, I think we need to understand it's quite dangerous technology, because machines can't decide that who will live, who will not live. Especially in conflict situations in Libya, Syria, and Afghanistan, whereas it's very difficult to understand who is terrorist and who is a civilian. Okay, we can't take that risk. Humans have done a lot of blunders, mistakes to identify who is civilian and terrorist, but we are okay with human error. Like for example, all of you know that most of the aeroplanes are 50% run by machines now. But still we are comfortable because we know that there is a one pilot, there is a human. And if something goes wrong, a human will take care of it. But in these lethal autonomous weapons, it's not possible because they are absolutely autonomous. However, it didn't happen. The new laws, policies are in place right now, especially EU AI Act, which I believe that all of you know now because it's already in the final stage. And by December 2025, you will see the real implementation of the European Union AI Act. And following the EU AI Act, the US President also issued an executive order on AI. And now China, Brazil, almost all countries, they are making their rules and regulations of AI. So definitely it's not easy to cover all the aspects. However, there are very clear dimensions that one camp, the Brussels camp, is talking about that no, we need to regulate AI technologies based on the risk created by them. So we don't want to stop AI development, but when you are designing your AI policies or AI technologies, you need to understand that what type of risk can be created by this technology. And based on your risk to the society, law will be applicable on you. It's just like a weapon, just like a nuclear energy. You can create nuclear bomb and you can create a nuclear energy also. So you need to decide that how this technology can be used. However, it's a very subjective because you all know, you know technology maybe 100 times better than me. It's impossible for computer scientists and tech developers to decide and design a technology for only one particular purpose. Because technologies can be used in different manner. And especially when we talk about AIs, and AI in my understanding is not a standalone technology, it's a mix of various technologies. So it's very difficult for a company to understand and appreciate that what would be the outcome of this technology in society. So it's more or less ex post analysis. The government, especially in EU, they will decide once technology is market. Okay? So it's a quite risky approach, but they want to play safe. Contrary to Brussels approach, there is a Washington approach. They say, no, we don't want this thing. It's too risky. So you need to create your own self-regulation mechanism. We are ready to help you. So if you want to try your technology, you please try. You can consult with us. I think companies are the best people to decide whether this technology should be introduced in market or not. Okay, so you can clearly see there are two different approaches. The third approach you can say maybe the Delhi approach, which says, okay, we don't care. I think it's not important for us right now. What are the threats of the AI for the society? I think I'm so sorry. I'm a professor, at least so I can say. Delhi approach and other developing countries are also following that approach, like Africa. They are not very keen to regulate AI right now. Last October, I was in Zurich, in Switzerland, talking about AI policy in a policy summit. And I told guys, maybe you want to regulate because you want to do it. We don't want to do it because we don't need it. Because currently, country like in India, the government is under pressure for economic growth, innovation. So it's too early for us to talk about AI regulation. But unfortunately, the impact of extraterritorial jurisdiction. So even if we don't have law in India, once the EU AI Act will come place, then if anything goes bad with our technology, which is implemented in EU, the Indian company can be liable for it. I think this extraterritorial jurisdiction, you know this thing very well. It's going more than, I think, 60, 70 years. That if something goes wrong in EU, then even if you are not having a presence in EU market, you can be liable. Same thing in US also. So, nutshell, I can say that we need to be careful. And especially the data privacy and AI, I think more or less, they are highly interconnected because data privacy has become important just because of AI. Privacy in law, like the concept of privacy, is not a very new concept. We are discussing the privacy issues, that how to protect privacy of citizens or individuals within the law. It's almost like 300, 400 years discussion within the legal systems. And law protects the privacy. However, this issue has become so important just because of AI, because AI can collect more data, AI can process data very quick, and the deadly cocktail of quantum computing and AI definitely is going to create a lot of challenges for the data privacy. So I can say that yes, we are trying to regulate AI, but in my understanding, it's very difficult to regulate AI because AI is not controlled by the government. Global rules and regulations are designed for the governments, not for the corporates. So for example, Council of Europe is a different organization than European Union. So Council of Europe is having more than 50 countries as a member. So US is also part of the Council of Europe. It's a huge organization. And they are trying to make an international convention and treaty on the artificial intelligence regulation. But the DC is trying their best, and I think somehow they have succeeded also, that this international convention on regulation of AI will not applicable on private companies. So this is very interesting, that this convention will be applicable only on the government, not on the private companies. So a lot of people are opposing this idea that how can you do it? But this is the classical public international law, where the public international law applies only to the states, not to the private companies. So I think this is the time that as a policy makers, we need to have a serious debate, the roles and responsibilities and accountability of the private players and rules and regulations. I support DC approach to some extent, that if you intervene too much, then definitely you are restricting innovation. We need to have more dialogue with private organizations and try to develop an understanding that they are socially responsible. If you talk about ESG obligations, then definitely AI regulation, data privacy must be part of the ESG. The companies, until and unless they don't take this responsibility, a rule or regulation will not enforce them too much. So that's my thoughts about global AI. Then how to create more awareness about rules and regulations for the non-lawyers. This is again a very tricky part in India. You know, we have clear separations, or you're tech, I'm lawyer, I'm business guy. So we have started, can you please that? So in Manipal Law School, because what I say, Manipal Law School is a tech-focused global law school, and we are running few programs. You might call it like a soft marketing, but it's my duty. No, it's my duty as a law school, that law school is not only for students. No, law school is for society. Our job and responsibility is to create awareness about rules and regulation in society and to train executives. IIMs are doing very well in executive education. Law schools are not doing. Most of the people in this country, they are illiterate about law. Okay, this is the problem. So we have created few programs in data privacy and cyber law, and information technology law. We have two types of program. One, blended program for lawyers. So with law background, they can do live classes in evening, then they need to come to campus for 3 days, I think thrice in a year. Then we realized that we got a lot of demand that why only lawyers? Don't you think that the data privacy, cyber law, we must teach non-lawyers also? So we designed a new program, LLM Professional for Non-Lawyers, whereas we will teach them legal and regulatory aspect of Indian law, contract law. Then we will teach them, can you please, okay, that slide only, that papers, that's, yeah. So this is like we are going to teach, contract law, introduction to Indian legal and regulatory system, introduction to law, cyber crime investigation, Indian data protection law, EU data protection law, international data protection law, USA and China. China is also coming up with a very strong data protection law. Privacy engineering and privacy governance, AI, robotics and law, privacy in fintech, information security, data privacy assessment. So what we believe that we need to work together, lawyers and non-lawyers. And why I'm telling you this thing? Because I'm inviting you to teach in these programs also. What I believe that these programs must be taught by professionals to the professionals. And as a law school, we should act as a platform. Because we need good platforms in this country. We professors can teach theory. But when I talk about the practical aspects of law, it must be taught by professionals. So, shut it down. So already these people are our visiting faculties, and like the Jyoti, Kapil, Ambika, Rajesh, so Nandita, so they are all teaching there, and I would like to invite more and more working professionals to join Manipal Law School as a visiting faculty, teach our students regular as well as blended program. I'm so happy to be here because I'm working with industry directly. We always complain that, okay, there is no industry-academia collaboration. But I think this is the industry-academia collaboration. We should organize seminars, we should do research together. We should write articles together, interdisciplinary articles. We should organize these type of programs together, whereas we can create good programs for the industry. How we will create knowledge in our country if the law schools and universities are not taking that responsibility? And definitely see the fee structure in Manipal is not that high. It's only 1,50,000. You know why I'm telling this amount? Because we are not introduced this program for a revenue source. Our main business is our UG program, BLLB, BBLLB, LLB. That's our main bread and butter. These programs we have introduced to connect with industry and give back to the society. In MAHE, we believe that we need to give back to the society. And we need to work together with the industry to develop India's first tech-focused global law school. So with these words, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, sir. And now the platform is open for Q&A session.
Second.
Good morning. I'm Anil. I work for a pharma company. So you already answered my first question. You talked about the fee. I just wanted to know the duration of this course.
1 year.
1 year?
1 year, blended mode, live classes in evening, recorded sessions are available. You just need to come thrice in a year to our campus, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
But, sir, I can see that the minimum eligibility is being LLB.
No, not for LLM professional.
Okay.
LLM professional is only for non-lawyers. We are not allowing lawyers in LLM professional.
Oh, great.
Yeah, thanks. Because see, it has to be interdisciplinary. See, my only concern that why we are not training non-lawyers in law school. This is a problem. Why we are closing our door that our law school is only for lawyers? Or the people who wants to become a lawyer, or people who are already a lawyer. No, I think that's a very wrong approach. We need to open our door, and we need to invite everyone, and we need to work together. You people can train us, you can guide us that Avinash what to teach. Trust me, all these papers are not designed by me. They are designed by industry people. I went to them, I say, okay, tell me, yaar, kya padhai? Because I don't know what is the requirement in industry. So all these visiting faculties from consulting background, law firm background, in-house background, They told me, Avinash, you should teach these papers. I said, okay, then you come and teach. That's like a trap, you know. First you ask them what to teach and then say, this teach, okay, now you teach this. So this is my job, you know, develop a quality program.
Thank you.
We have too many international things about things that have happened, and now from last 2 decades we are seeing a decline. There is no respect for international law. Let it be environment, we have failed already, and as far as bringing peace, we have lost. Weapons of mass destruction and dual technology, there also we have totally failed. This is also similar to a kind of a dual technology, where it is marring both society as well as the economy.
I agree with you, sir. It's an end of globalization, yeah. I think. But you should not forget that globalization started many times and ended many times. If you go back in history, 3,000 years back, there was a Silk Route. Now there is no Silk Route. So globalization always happened for a purpose. So after the 1945, globalization started because decolonization. After the decolonization process, the developed countries like in US, UK and developed countries in Europe, they started UN and developed UN and international organizations to control the globe. Now there are new players in market, like the China is a new player, Africa is emerging. Our beloved last President Trump, he never believed in globalization. So I think we are entering into a new era where globalization will have a different meaning. Like for example, India. I think India is buying oil from Russia, Iran, but still we are respecting UN. So what I believe that we are entering into a new era where every country is protecting its own benefits. I think it's absolutely fair. WTO. US is not any more interested in WTO. WTO was created by US only. But now that China is becoming the international trade leader, so US think it's useless for us. So I think this globalization, we need to redefine globalization in our mind, and it's very difficult. Because last 30, 40 years, we were told that things will happen beautifully in Geneva, or in Paris, or in New York. But now I think the power is shifting. Things are happening in Delhi also, and Beijing also, in some other places also.
Good morning all. Sir, here. Thanks, Dr. Avinash. My name is Sheikh. I work as a trainer. So I have two thoughts on whatever you were talking with us. So first thing is, being a trainer, I know the technical part, and it is very important for everyone to know at least the basic laws. I know it's very difficult to remember all of them, but sometimes, when we're dealing with fraud or cybercrime, it's very important for us to know these laws, at least basic laws, how to report, what are our, what's our part and all. So that's very important. And second thing is, when you were talking about Delhi is not, about the Delhi theory, like, they are not controlling AI. I mean, their approach is that they are not controlling AI. The reason I think is because we have not seen that bad side of AI. We are still doing research, a lot of research in India, because if we go to some other countries, like, I have been in Dubai, so there we see that part of AI which makes us think, like, there could be a bad side also. But here, I think the main reason is that, and you have also pointed that we need to think about that. The reason we are not thinking right now is because there's still a lot of research going on, on AI. So once we see that side, maybe we'll start thinking, but it's good that we need to start thinking right now. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think deep fake, we have already seen it. And there are, I think, a lot of things are already happening, but the point is, what is our focus? See, in Indian mind right now, economic growth is the focus. Okay. Europe is not interested in economic growth anymore. Their growth is anyway, I would say, 0%. Okay. So Germany developed minus 0.3% last quarter. So Europe is in a different mindset. And definitely Europe is also not innovating. So innovations are either coming from China or US or India, other countries. And the idea of Europe, it's a political idea. It's not an economic idea. They developed European Union so that they don't fight with each other. Okay. So definitely we are looking for economic growth. And very soon maybe we will talk about these things, but not now. But we should be ready for it, I agree with you. Especially companies, they should be ready for it. Last week, NATO issued a vacancy, officer responsible AI. So very soon in companies, you will find a position responsible AI officer, very senior level officer, who will work with all teams and to ensure that whatever AI technology they are developing, it should be responsible. Yeah, so that's the future.
So this is Dr. Gururaj from DXC Technology. So I can just throw a few points on general purpose AI, so what we call GPAI, and also what's your concern on copyright issues through AI? Right. So
see, law is very simple. Still, we are living in an orthodox world where say AI will not get any patent, any copyright. But I don't agree with this. I believe that AI is moving in that direction, whereas we must recognize the value of AI. Okay, and AI is not a separate person. You know, the point is AI is controlled by a human being or by a company. So I think we need to give some value to AI. And one thing, who cares about copyright? Generative AI, nobody cares about copyright. The New York Times are, making cases before the New York court for the billions of compensation. Oh, you are using our technology. But it's a contrast, You want good information on Google, you want free. And you want to protect your data also. You want to connect people on LinkedIn, but you want to protect your photo also. Okay, you want to generate generative AI, but you don't want that the large data must be used by them. So we are living in an orthodox, in conflicting world. I think, see, it's just like a game. Okay, we will keep playing. It's fine. Good, so my time is up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Avinash. And that was a bird's eye view on the international and the national developments happening across the globe. Thank you so much, sir. May I invite Mr. Ramesh Venkataraman to honor our guest.
Actually, I have a question I can ask now. Great, sir. Thank you.
We have coffee. Time is up.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time for Ms. Satyavati to intervene with the quiz that is in stock with her. Please, ma'am.
Okay. How much we learned about laws and privacies and international privacy laws. I think a lot of discussions, right? Let's see who wins this. Maybe I'll go in the middle now, right? Just give me 1 minute, guys, before put this question. Yeah. On you go. So many hands, yeah? Which one? A? Everybody says yeah. Move to the next one. Move to the next one. Too easy, ma'am. Too easy. Next question. Yes. Please check. I got 2 hands here.
Data, yeah.
Yeah. Answer yeah, correct? Everybody agree? No.
C.
C, everybody agree? Yes? Why, sir?
Because it's AI, to do the learning, you have to do that.
AI has biases. Okay. Somebody says B. Why? That's the answer? Okay. Okay, what's the right answer? B is the right answer. Why? Why B, sir?
The algorithms need to be, when somebody is investigating and checking the bias, they need to know what the algorithm is. That's why transparency and explainability is that should explain the logic on how they have arrived at that particular decision.
Excellent, sir. It's not bias, but it is no bias. Okay, please. Okay, you have one more question? Yes. One more question. Okay, explain. Explainability, yeah, you should explain why it is. Okay, Next question. Ready? Going to the end now. Okay, ready? Okay, I'm seeing lady in the front coming back.
C.
Is it true? Majority believes. You believe different? Is it not C? It's C? Then no, nothing. Please.
The consent manager's role, even though it's not clearly, spelled out, but whatsoever I understand is that a consent manager would be responsible for managing the user content for processing their personal data. User means the data principals in case of DPDPA.
People agree or debate? No debate. Okay, no debate. Please give. Okay, with that, back to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the vibrant participation. The need of the hour is a small tea break and factors. We are running short of time. So let's all break up as of now for 5 minutes and then let's have the tea. And please be here. Let's not break the time schedule over here. Let's be back by 11:50.